Now, without pointing fingers, this entire situation is President Trump's fault. So he needs to reassure people that he has a plan to fix the economy. And fortunately, he had the chance yesterday when he hosted a small business summit. These bragging about being the only kid in school who gets a special helper. This is not a test to see how smart you are. It's to check if your brain is functioning. I am so glad that we have a president who can differentiate between an alligator and a squirrel. Unlike President Coolidge, God rest his soul. But Trump's struggling to remember all the animals. At this point, I'm not even sure there was even a test. I feel like there's a good chance the president was just watching Zootopia. You know what? Maybe small business owners aren't the best audience for Donald Trump's animal facts. Is there an audience that's...
Something I don't even want to talk about. We can't let Iran have a nuclear weapon. You might be too young for this.
No, they're not too young. I'm sure they've already seen the destroyer of all worlds. So true, so true. Honestly, if there was ever an event where it was important to stick to the topic at hand, it's the one where you're surrounded by small children. You understand that, right?
It was a rigged election. Barack Hussein, 7,000. When you have transgender mutilization, don't listen to this, kids. And then all of a sudden, a woman dropped dead with a bullet right there.
The president is trauma dumping on me again. So when Trump's talking to a room full of adults, he sounds like a child. When he's talking to a room full of children, he sounds like Pennywise. He's not exactly the one you want to...
Run by President Donald Trump. Childcare is his thing.
Have you ever done the whole kid thing, change the diaper and all that?
I've never been into it. You know, it's never been my thing.
It's not totally his thing, but he'll teach your kids important life skills like fairness.
With a bullet right there.
And look, a visit from Uncle Bobby.
77% of our children cannot qualify for military service.
You said it, Unc. Then time for another nap. At Donnie Daycare, kids learn how to...
Iran fired on 3 American warships tonight. We fired back. The ceasefire that Trump declared and complete victory lasted less than 48 hours. Operation Trust Me, Bro failed. That is the official statement from the Iranian parliament, and the White House response was to call it a love tap. 3 American warships were fired on in an active military conflict, and the president characterized it as a love tap because he has already declared victory and cannot walk that back without admitting he was wrong. So the war continues and the vocabulary shrinks. War, military operation, military conflict, mini-war, skirmish, excursion. The words keep getting smaller as body count and the bill keep getting larger. Patel is suing The Atlantic for $250 million for reporting that he drinks too much. Then The Atlantic published a second story reporting that he hands out personalized whiskey bottles as gifts to colleagues. The FBI has zero tolerance policy on alcohol misuse. Patel's response to being investigated for drinking was to order 24 members of his own staff to take polygraph tests to find out who reported him. The director of FBI is in panic mode, trying to find out who told the truth about him. That is the state of American law enforcement right now. And the Epstein files are still buried. Fox News went on air and told viewers to get over themselves and move on. The war or skirmish or excursion or love tap, whatever it is being called this week, has successfully kept those files off the front page for 10 weeks. Howard Lutnik testified for 4 hours and remembered nothing despite his name appearing 240 times in the documents. Commerce Secretary brought his children to Ireland and cannot explain why. The Attorney General refuses to release the files and Fox News says, get over it. The narrative in this week is that the Iran conflict was not as bad as the Civil War. That is what winning looks like in week 10. And we, as taxpayers, are giving everything and saving up money to pay taxes, to buy stuff for our children, our loved one, and they're just spending our money to a nonsense war. I said they, but I'm sorry, he is doing it actually. And there's no one else around him to tell him that he's doing something wrong. Sorry for saying something again. Everything wrong, because they're too scared to tell him. And we're living the results of his actions.